quick review about weathering and erosion. As you guys know, we've been talking about weathering and erosion now for about 2 weeks or so, and they are our vocabulary words. So, you guys know that weathering is when rock is breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, or smaller and smaller rock, right? Now, when those pieces are falling off the rock, when the rock is getting smaller and smaller, wind, water, hail might be taking those pieces and moving them away, which is erosion. So you have the process of breaking down rock, which is weathering, and then you have erosion, which is moving those smaller pieces of rock away. And we talked about how natural forces like water, wind, ice, hail are all different ways that rocks can be weathered down, and then those little pieces being carried away. That erosion can also happen by the same different type of natural elements as well. So I am going to share my screen with you. Let's see. Here we go. So you should be looking at my Teams. I am going to our Seesaw assignment. So when you log in, you should see something like this. So you should be invited as kiddos, and you will be seeing the weathering and erosion assignment. So the directions say to create a real-life example of weathering and erosion. Use pictures to show how weathering and erosion is taking place. You can also use the voice button to explain what your picture is about and how it represents weathering and erosion. If you want to listen along to my directions, I did record them right here for you. I'm going to show you an example of what I did, my example of weathering and erosion. So this is my example, and if you see this play button right here, I was able to record myself speaking and explaining my picture, but I tried to record this video earlier, and I noticed that when I pressed play, you weren't able to hear what I said. So I am just going to explain my my weathering and erosion example on the video, and then when you log into Seesaw, you can click play and you can hear exactly the same thing that I'm about to say that I already recorded for you. So this is my boulder, right? If you can tell, it's on my sand in the middle of the ocean. So the waves keep hitting my boulder over and over and over again. And after a really long time, my boulder is going to look something like this. It's going to be smaller and it's going to be smoother. You can see that it doesn't have all these jagged edges anymore. And that's because the waves keep hitting my boulder over and over and over again, causing my boulder to become smooth and smaller. That's weathering. Right? When the waves keep hitting the rock and the rock keeps breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, that is what weathering is. Now, all these dots right here are the little pieces that fell off my rock. The water is coming and it's taking those pieces away. It's moving them back into the ocean. And that is what erosion is. So I started off with this big rock, and over time, when the waves came crashing down and hitting my boulder now looks like this. It's smaller and it's smoother. That's the weathering. And then erosion is those little pieces that fell off my rock are now being carried away by the waves, and that is erosion. So this was my example of weathering and erosion. And again, when you click play, you can listen to. I just know that it won't show up on my recording. But as you can see, it's about 1 minute and 59 seconds long, so you can listen to my explanation of weathering and erosion. So your job is to create something exactly like this, but your own example of weathering and erosion. And it has to be something that is in real life. It has to be something that is nonfiction, that is going to happen. So I am going to come back. I'm going to cancel sharing my screen. Let's see. Exit right there. All right. So your job today is to create a sample of weathering and erosion and what that would look like.